What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Today is Best Served Podcast 222. This is day number 4 of Restaurant Marketing Week. We are talking social media and really focusing on expanding your 4 walls, because you hear me say it again and again and again. These are table touch opportunities for people that are not butts and seats currently, but hopefully will be again and again and again. That is the opportunity that we have with social media. And so this whole week has been amazing. We have talked about kind of storytelling 101. We've talked about your digital presence, photo and video, social media today. We'll also get into in-store promotions, PR media, and ad spends through the week, all of the marketing avenues that are needed for restaurants to be able to survive and thrive now more than ever, as we are in a fully digital landscape, even for hospitality. All right, we're going to be talking about 3 key platforms for restaurants, and there's a multitude of them. We're going to focus on these 3. We're going to talk about Facebook. We're going to talk about Instagram, and yes, we are going to talk about TikTok. Let's get into it. All right, to start us off, we are going to bring in Michelle Lamb from Brooklynite Media. Michelle, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
All right, so we got to talk about kind of the granddaddy of them, Facebook. Let's talk a little bit of kind of philosophy, the approach that you're looking for when somebody is generally posting into social media, the thinking, the strategy, and then let's go down some rabbit holes and dig into some of the tactics that you think are the most important in today's Facebook, the thinking. What's top of mind for you?
I think one of the things I would love to bring up is to really learn what your client or your restaurant and the chef wants to promote, wants to market. You have to understand their business. You have to ask them, what do they need and what do they want? Don't just come in with the strategy like, oh, I can post your menu or your food or whatever you're doing on Facebook. You have to have a purpose. And the strategy really has to, it has to be from phase 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the chronological order that you need to be, ready to speak to every single business owner, right? So when it comes to Facebook advertising or even marketing, you have to decide you want it to be organic growth or paid ad. Now, when it comes to paid ad, how much money can you, invest? And during this pandemic, everyone is tight with budget, right? And you need to figure out how much money you have in store to invest in. I don't know how many posts that you're going to do for the next few weeks or maybe the end of the year. You have to plan it out accordingly. So ask your clients, like if you want to be, paying per ad, per post, per story, make sure the content is clear, deliverable is there, there's a purpose. You're trying to get people to look at your Facebook, look at your marketing stuff, look at your food, look at maybe like the chefs that are coming up with great ideas, thinking outside the box. These are things that you need to tackle.
A couple things to unpack there that are interesting to me. One, are you thinking that if you're going organic or paid, is it actually different content that you think you're producing, or are you just thinking about it from a budgetary standpoint as far as if you spend money or not?
I think when it comes to paid ad, it costs money. Make sure it's absolutely polished. And I think it's important for organic growth to, tap into that area is post content that is also beautiful, but realistic. You want people to
real stories.
Right. Come in, and if you're going to post food that looks absolutely stunning in pictures or even in stories, and they come in and you serve them something that looks slightly different or even completely different, that's a big issue. You want to build that clientele or build those customers who will come back often to support your business.
Yeah. So this is something that I think is really important. The purpose of social media, I think sometimes restaurants don't quite understand. It's important to understand that the game that you're in, the post and the content is the unlock for the conversation, the engagement. And I think sometimes we think that that's the whole game. The reality is the content is not the game. The engagement and conversation is the game. So Facebook specifically, right? Facebook has the potential for you to have potentially deeper conversations than, say, Instagram or even TikTok that we're going to talk about. right? There's a little bit more of a dialogue sometimes. So for you, when you're thinking about the content, what do you think about from a copy standpoint? Are you positioning the copy and the content to spark a conversation? How do you go about that practically for restaurants?
I think when it comes to content, you have to think about, will this person ask questions? What type of food? What ingredients are you using? Is it from the farmer's market? Are you buying it from just any grocery stores? And then also, is it fresh? Do you guys get deliveries every week? Those are the conversations that you want to spark per post. And I think even from a strategy standpoint, you have to put yourself also in the customer standpoint that, will I even consider coming to this restaurant during this COVID times to try something that's so appealing to me? So with Facebook, it's very targeted, audience that that these are the demographic that you want to tackle. And then with specific cuisine or business type that you are, helping your clients, it actually resonates or speak their language. So you have to also write these captions that they will understand. Don't be too technical. Sometimes it has to be conversational. So you have to put that all into perspective.
Yes, absolutely. I think that is so important on Facebook because I think you're having a conversation. Techno babble does not have a place. Like too much jargon and people are missing the conversation. What you're talking about too then is you still need to be creating transparency and building trust and confidence within your market, right? I think people assume now that people know that you are going to have mask mandates or they know that you're doing curbside or delivery. The reality is they don't know. It's not their job to know. It's your job to let them know and continue to communicate with them. So do you think that continuously posting about the practice that you have in-house is important or is it redundant?
I think it's important to remind people that every single business is out there, sanitizing the surfaces, or the staff are wearing gloves, masks. We're practicing social distancing just to ensure that all the customers are safe and also the staff. So for you to continuously posting about the updates of how a place is keeping themselves safe and everyone's safe, it ensures a lot of confidence and gives people to actually be safe and feel okay to come out and come to your place. So that's something we have to do ongoing.
Yeah, we talk about a lot. A la Gary Vee, be the mayor of your town, and that includes letting people know what they need to know, the things that they need to know that they don't know that they need to know. It's just being a pure communicator and letting people know what's happening with you, because that's going to be super, super important. I want to touch on, hey, how's it going? This is great. This is real life right now. I love it. You getting your kids deserve airtime too. I'm surprised that one of mine hasn't rushed through that door right now. Don't worry about it at all. So Facebook groups, I'm very fascinated in this. Is it's another layer that Facebook has that a lot of other platforms do not, where you can layer down into very specific topics of focus that are important and or be hyper targeted to your specific area, be it a Facebook group that is literally within your town. Talk about how you're going there. How do you make sure that you're engaging versus just creating these transactional, come buy this special today? How do you make sure that restaurants have depth in the conversation in a Facebook group?
I think in the Facebook group, you also have to identify which group fits. There's so many. There's so many Facebook groups out there that you need to be able to identify which one actually have the clientele that might even be interested in your type of business. Now, in depth in terms of conversation, again, it comes down to the post. If your post is informational, if your post serves a purpose, if the target audience feel that you are being very engaging by providing live information and as to what's going on, then I think the conversation will spark. Other than that, I call those dead posts. You just post and you move on, and there's really no real people who are really interested in your business. So I think it's important to target those groups that they will respond.
Once again, know your audience, right, and be clear on your message and be a communicator. And bring hospitality. The essence of hospitality is creating an emotional response, reaction, and resonance versus saying, come buy this thing. Yet we know that the ultimate goal is to get butts and seats, is to get those transactions. Yet we need to think a little bit more long-term in the way that we're engaging. So appreciate it. And your daughter is adorable. Thank you so much for being on, both of you. I really appreciate both of you. You brought some great energy to the show, for sure, little one. All right. You have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Michelle.
You too. Bye.
All right. So, Facebook. The key there is to create a depth of conversation. For me, what's interesting is I want more comments than likes. There's certain things that I think are important. The depths of the comments, conversations, sparking a conversation where not only is there a conversation between you and whoever made that initial comment, I think a lot of times the depth is now 2, 3, 4 other people creating a sub conversation within that. That's the strength that I think Facebook has. That's what I want to make sure we don't miss out on, because again, this is table touches. This is expanding your 4 walls. This is very, very fundamentally important for restaurants to understand, is that you now have an opportunity to table touch, not the 36 tables in your restaurant, the 112,000 potential tables that are in your given community. This is super important. If somebody was in your restaurant and they walk by that table and they made a comment, asked you a question, had a concern, you would not walk by them. You would engage with them, and you would make sure to create a moment of hospitality with them. That's what you need to do on social media. And Facebook is one of the places you can go deepest in that conversation. All right, let's get into Instagram now. We're going to bring Larry Hurst in, who's going to talk to us about the IG. Larry, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me. It's pretty funny. You find the oldest guy on Instagram to talk about Instagram.
That's perfect. I like it. I like the dichotomy of it. I think it's really, really great. You have a lot to teach us on that for sure. So I appreciate that.
I'm very opinionated on Instagram.
That's exactly it. I think you've committed. You're pot committed on Instagram. I think that's an important function of kind of the work that you do as a marketer for so many restaurants in the Denver area. And so let's talk about Instagram at a high level. And for everybody, well, we're dropping a link into the comments right now where Larry was gracious enough to kind of break down multiple layers. And we're going to get into multiple layers of kind of the thinking, strategies, and tactics to deploy in Instagram, so you can kind of circle back and use that document for yourself. I want to start with the goal. You mentioned the goal, and I want to contextualize this in time, right? Because we both talk about the goal is getting those butts and seats, having the transaction to be there, yet the time is where restaurants sometimes struggle. You need to tell your story again and again and again, allow that to unfold in Instagram so that you can achieve your ultimate goal. Because sometimes when restaurants hear the goal of it is about driving revenue, growth in business, they sometimes go to that transactional nature. So I want to contextualize that. The goal of your page in the short term and long term, break it down for us.
Yeah. So, I've started my own Instagrams at OCN Eats and OCN Drinks, and I've taken over many of my restaurant clients' Instagrams. And when I take them over, there's a lot of mess to clean up because they haven't put thought into what the point of this page is. And if you just break it down into, why am I doing this? Why am I posting these pictures? Why post at all? And if you remember, it's to put the butts in seats. Well, everything you do should reflect that. In other words, you shouldn't be following, let's say, the New York Times or the Yankees from your business page. You do that from your personal page. This isn't about what you like. That's not what the point of this page is. And so I have to clean that up and unfollow all these people that they shouldn't be following. So that's a big part of it, like who you're following, who your followers are. So I don't allow people to follow my clients or myself if they don't live in Colorado. And people are like, what? Don't I want as many followers as possible? No. How is that going to help you? How is that going to put butts in seats? If a guy who likes your stuff lives in Moscow, I don't understand why you want him as a follower. And there's only a certain percentage of your followers that are going to see your post, somewhere between 20 and 40% of each post. So imagine if they don't all live here in Colorado or wherever people are watching, wherever your restaurant is, you want people who can actually eat at your restaurant to see the message.
So you're talking about people playing more into the vanity metrics of the number of followers that you have or the number of likes that you get versus the engagement leading then to actually driving the butts in seats. So let me touch on this for just one moment because I think there's Yes, and the potential for restaurants to be a destination, which right now I don't know if that's a reality yet. There is that. So the person, do you take a campaign approach then to be able to attract people? Say in Colorado, people are coming for ski season from certain areas. You don't care about them at all.
Waste of time.
Okay.
I hear this. I hear that argument from time to time.
For sure.
Again, you have a limited amount, right? 20 to 40% will see your post.
Yep.
I want a 100% chance that they can eat in my restaurant. I don't want to take a chance that they could come here on vacation. Waste of money, waste of a post, waste of hashtags.
Yeah.
Which let's jump into hashtags.
Yeah, let's go right into hashtags. I like it.
I got a lot of things, but one of the biggest mistakes I see is hashtags, and now to do hashtag restaurant, hashtag foodie, hashtag food. Again, what's the point of your page? To put butts in seats. By using such a broad hashtag, you're reaching people that will never eat at your place. And they're way too big of hashtags anyway. When there's a million posts to it, nobody's ever going to see yours anyway. So you're never going to get anything from it. So your hashtags, if you're here in Colorado, should say something about Colorado. So it should be Colorado, Denver, 303, 5280, Mile High. And you put prefixes and suffixes with those words. Eat, eater, dine, diner. If you're barbecue, put barbecue with these. And those are the hashtags you need to use. So again, what's the point of my page? To put butts in seats. And this is a free platform that there's no limit. You could have 1 million followers if you put the work into it, or you could have hundreds into it. And there's no shortcut. It takes work. It's a slow and steady climb. If you go fast, Instagram puts you in timeout because they know you're using outside an app, and they don't like that. And the thing is, people, my restaurants, they're, oh, we don't have time for this, or restaurant owners. It's not that much time. You have a daughter, you have employees. It's not rocket science. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, I grew my Instagram to, I'm almost at 15,000 in 20 months. And I block people every day. I don't know if you want to get into blocking.
Now, let's not get into blocking. People can make their own decisions there. One more thing on hashtags. Do you recommend restaurants owning, you can't own, but owning and having kind of their own hashtags that focus it even more to their micro audience?
No,
or
I hate
looking for the market-wide ones?
God, I hate the people who come up with best burger in a yellow dining room, not, hashtag. Like, who's going to type all that out, first of all? Nobody's following that hashtag. The point of a hashtag is for people who don't know you exist to find you. There's no other reason. Your followers already, or your followers, so you're not marketing to them. So you don't want to do hashtag, like for me, I don't do hashtag OCN Eats because you're already following me on OCN Eats. So you don't need that again. So mine are always what I said. And I just change them up.
Yep.
You should always do a minimum of 11.
All right, let's go into postings themselves.
Yes.
What are you looking for as far as the amount of copy, looking for as far as the imagery, looking for thinking about not just one post in and of itself, but telling an extended story? Take us into the content side specifically.
So as we all know, content is king. And, you don't need to hire a professional photographer. I take everything you see on my Instagram is with this right here. The Google Pixel 4, it takes fire pictures. You go outside into natural light and you put it into, what's the mode? Portrait mode, Jesus. Yeah, portrait mode. And you can't take a bad picture. If you have the new iPhone, same thing. Put it in portrait mode, put the food in the circle, the rest blurs out. But the thing that restaurants are making mistakes of with their posts is image is by far the most important thing. I go to restaurant Instagrams. I'm like, are you trying to make people not eat there? If the food doesn't look good, it doesn't matter what you write. And you could take a dive bar and you can make their food look amazing, and you could take a 5-star restaurant and make their food look like crap.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much effort. And just edit your pictures before you put it on. And then content-wise, what the verbiage is really not that important on Instagram. Instagram's about the image. But at least you need to say what the food is or what the drink is. So many posts where I'm like, why would you not tell me what this is? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Don't write a soliloquy. Nobody's going to read a whole long thing. That's not what Instagram's for. When you want to write something, you go into Facebook. That's what that's for. But but you need to not just post food. Food gets old really fast. Now more than ever, you need to tell the story of who you are as a restaurant. Tell them your pain. Tell them how bad things are as well.
Yes.
Tell them how good things are. Tell them when you had a good night. Tell them when the power went out or something like that. Show off your cooks having fun, your servers. Specifically, though, restaurant owners who put their faces on their Instagrams are absolutely doing better. And those posts themselves may not do as well as a post of food because it's not thumb-stopping content.
Right.
Thumb-stopping, an image of food that is spectacular might get people to stop more often than your picture of your face. But if you could combine, and I'm going to throw my boy Jason from Crush Pizza, a picture of him, smiley face with beautiful pizza, showing his pizza. And people want to support people now more than ever. They want to connect with people.
Yes.
They don't want to support chains. They don't. They want to make sure their mom and pop restaurants stay in business. Well, if they feel like they know the mom and pop, then they're more likely to spend their money there. So yes, put your staff, put your food, yes, put your face, tell them what's good, tell them what's bad in your restaurant.
Yeah, I think to the point that you're making is super important, where you mentioned it might not get as many likes, and this goes back to the vanity metrics of like, you have to show the depth of who you are as a whole, which includes the amazing food. Yet food can be easily commoditized, and everybody has that delicious shot of the burger. So you need to show them that, and you need to show them depth and context around that. I think that is so important. And if you're okay with your food photo getting 114 likes and the other photo of you getting 17 likes, and being okay with the fact that it's actually building depth, I think is important. People are maybe less likely to like that. Yet when they take a step back and look at your brand as a whole, they're going to be more emotionally connected to you. And I think that's important. I think that's what's missing on Instagram. Instagram's like everyone trying to like jump the fence at the airport and show them next to a G6 because they think that's the aspirational lifestyle bullshit that's important. Restaurants fell into that trap as well. So I think what you're talking about is important. Have the sexy food shots because that's what you're selling. Yet what you're doing when you're building community is showing that as a whole. So I really appreciate that. I think that's important.
I didn't want to put my face on my Instagram because I'm like, look at this. Like,
this guy,
this is not going to help me get followers. But it absolutely changed the game. People, first of all, people recognize me now when I go out, which is bizarre. But people, when I tell them about my wife, my kids, my dog, it makes me stand different from every other foodie page that just put food over and over and over again. They feel like they know me and they make a human connection with me, so they want to support me. And vice versa. I want to support them.
That's it. Larry, I really appreciate it. I love the energy that you have. Again, in the comments is a Google Drive link that you can check out a document where Larry breaks all this down and goes a little deeper on some different topics as well. So I appreciate you putting that together. Thank you so much, Larry, for being on.
Thanks. Good to talk to you.
All right. Cheers. All right. We are going to get into TikTok. Yes, restaurants. TikTok. This is not just for 14-year-old girls lip syncing and dancing to videos, even though it is that. There is so much opportunity. This is before you had to pay to play with Facebook and Instagram. This is the wild, wild west of opportunity. Everything plays there. The medium of videos, I think, is important right now more than ever, and being video first versus an Instagram or Facebook that absolutely have it native within there. Yet this is first. So we are going to bring in the one and only V to talk about TikTok. V, I am excited for us to be speaking. Let's unmute you real quick.
There we go.
Let's get into TikTok. I know every restaurant person is going, what the fuck are we talking about? TikTok is not for me. It is for somebody else that is too young of a demographic. I don't get it. I don't want the lip syncing videos, yet there are massive opportunities that if you go viral there, you can absolutely connect. And I want to get into it. TikTok. Why TikTok? And then let's go down some rabbit holes of what you're actually producing on TikTok.
So TikTok is something that initially I was like, no, I don't have time for that. I'm too old for that. And then you're kind of like, I'll just sign up and watch. And then eventually you make your own little video and then you become TikTok famous like that. And it's a wonderful thing. And it happens exactly like that for everyone. So here's some of the myths about TikTok. Initially, this was a platform that it was a much younger demographic. It was a lot of very silly lip sync videos, like you said. But in particular, because of the pandemic and folks being home, there's one thing core to us, both as restaurant people and as a culture in general, is that we need to be entertained. And if we can't get entertainment by going to the movie theaters, going to the theater, going to the restaurant, we're going to entertain ourselves. It was like the rise of community theater, but online. And so TikTok now, their stats, they just had them leak, actually came out and said that 50% of their users are under 34, but that 1 in 8 adults has a TikTok account that they spend about 52 minutes a day on. That is much longer than Facebook or Instagram.
Yes.
So now that we sort of can figure that out, then you want to look at, okay, well, how do I get into it? How do I be successful on it? How can I even just enjoy it as a spectator? And then how can I use it as a brand? A couple of things that happen when you sign up for TikTok is you are completely anonymous. And I think this gives folks a lot of room to play with the platform before people start to see your content. So if you're a restaurant with a really established Facebook or Instagram, just get on the TikTok. No one's going to follow you until you tell them to, and no one's going to find you straight off until you do something that hits the algorithm virally. So you can I encourage you strongly today, as a brand, as a restaurant, and as a person, sign up for a TikTok account, period. Even if you're not going to use right now.
Stop listening to us. Just go do that and watch this video again later to get the tactics. Go right now. Yes.
Because so many times I go to tag a brand that I'm using either in a cooking video or somebody that I'm like making fun of or what, joking around with, and they don't have a TikTok, so I can't tag them.
Yes.
And that's very frustrating. So even if you're just getting passively tagged or noticed, you want to have folks know that you're there for them too.
I think that's important. I want to touch on something that I think is interesting, because I look at the comments. I always read comments more than I read, to Larry's point. I don't read what they wrote as much as I read the comments. I'm interested. And what I keep seeing is a couple things that show me that there's opportunity for restaurants. And those are, that's my favorite place. I go there all the time. So there's in-market awareness that you're building through TikTok. And then there's also, that place is like 2 miles from me. I never even heard of it. These are the two, basically, these are the two canaries in the coal mine that I'm like, wait, there's something happening here, that there's a real groundswell opportunity. And you mentioned for you have a video of you making a burger that has 250,000 views. And it costs you nothing.
It's not even good. It was the worst thing I ever made on TikTok. It went viral, but like, likes are likes, man. Follows are follows.
It's absolutely something that there's huge opportunity, and I think that's interesting. So keep going. I know you got some more thoughts on. I want to get into it. I want people to know it's for real. This is no joke, and get there now, because eventually it's going to cost money, just like Facebook and Instagram.
Exactly. And there's still tons of room. People are going viral. People are becoming TikTok famous every single day. It's not something like Instagram where folks have achieved a certain million amount of likes, and that's as many pizza places as a user is going to follow. There's no finite amount now on TikTok.
Yes.
And the algorithm is constantly changing. So you can be really good one day, and then you may have a lull of not getting a lot of likes. But what I want to kind of put in folks' mind is, Michelle had said, be realistic on Facebook. And Larry said, don't waste your time on Instagram. And I'm going to tell you, TikTok is neither realistic, and it is a huge waste of time. And that is how you're successful on it.
Yes.
So where Facebook is really about information and Instagram is about product, TikTok is about people. If you look at some of the most successful accounts, it's a behind the scenes look at them. If you look at the Washington Post account in particular, you would think, a very established newspaper. It's one guy who does a lot of funny transition videos, and that's their face for that market. So you do want to expect that you're not going to be able to plug it in Hootsuite. It's not going to be a reposting place. It's going to be a place that really shows the personality of your brand more than anywhere else.
And restaurants have characters. It is literally an amalgamation of crazy human beings kind of plopped on top of each other. Every restaurant has like the iconic closing song where everyone's like, all the guests are gone, we're going to decompress. just share things like that. I think there's a huge opportunity. The other thing for restaurants in the short-term thinking, transactional nature that we continuously are highlighting, this is an opportunity. Let's say that there are 17 and 18-year-olds that you don't think you care about. Imagine that you actually use social media for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road to establish your brand in this very simple way. I think that TikTok creates an opportunity for that, because I hear labor shortage all the time. That's not a labor issue. It's a culture issue. And you are not connecting with your would-be 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds because you haven't thought like them in 10, 15, 20 years. Now there's an opportunity to do that. I think that's where you can future a little bit on TikTok. And there are absolutely some metrics that can show that you can create those transactions in the short term. Yet I think this is an opportunity at 15 seconds, a 1 minute clip, to be able to look to the future. And restaurants, unfortunately, we always think so short term. The next plate up, you're only as good as that table, that guest, that experience. And that's absolutely true. Yet we also need to think long term and strategy a little bit. TikTok feels like that. Thoughts on that? Am I off base? Am I on?
No,
what do you think?
you're totally on base. I think some of the things that intimidate people about TikTok is they're not going to know how to make the videos. And in fact, there are so many how-tos out there. It is very simple. You do not need, you can do it with your iPhone. You can do it with a couple lights. I put a video on my TikTok today that shows what my setup is like and how I do things. It's very simple and very inexpensive. What you want to do is relieve yourself of any professionalism that you expect to have on TikTok and really let folks have fun. If you're making bread, make bread to WAP. Like, that's going to go viral. People are going to love that. And then just make a time lapse video, and people love that. It is very easy to entertain. They are quick moments. It's not a place that you are going to initially build, let's say, like a huge marketing platform for yourself, but
Right.
It is something that is extremely investable, and there are a lot of sponsorship opportunities. There are two things about TikTok that I want to talk about next. One is the creator fund, and one is the marketplace. If you are a brand out there, or you are a market manager and you're looking for someone to help hype your brand, you can go to the marketplace, and TikTok will show you creators that fit into the line of criteria of people that you want to use to market your chili, your soap, your whatever the case may be. A lot of those folks will do the work for product only. So more if you're a product person and you're trying to sell spices or any number of things, you can use the marketplace. Similarly, the people who join the marketplace are just normal folks who do well on TikTok. So you have opportunity for your chefs to get their Food Network moment without having to be on Food Network. You have the opportunity for them to get the recognition that they don't often get as a small regional chef, especially now that there's no more James Beard Awards for a couple of years. Like, this is the new way that we celebrate food, and it's quick and fast and fun. It's lighthearted, and I think it's a really positive platform. And I think there's a lot more adults on it that are a lot more influenced than we think. Yeah,
there's two people that come to mind, and I want to paint this picture so again you can think about what can happen. A cook named Matt, or That Dude Can Cook, have these really simple videos, and Gordon Ramsay right now is reviewing people's food videos, and That Dude Can Cook basically just did braised short ribs with like a simple mash, and Gordon Ramsay is now talking about that dish and giving him daps about it, being like, that's pretty solid. And the leverage that creates and the opportunity is huge. And that guy just created a video, and it came in front of Gordon Ramsay, and now Gordon Ramsay is talking about your restaurant. If you don't think that can change the game completely for you within your market, you are sorely mistaken, because you don't like what TikTok is. So I think that's very, very important. Any last parting shots for us?
Yes, I would say, I know there's probably some restaurateurs listening, but if you're a server, if you're a cook, talk about yourself and your funny stories backstage. I made my entire TikTok platform on Chef Bro, which was just a silly take on like what it's like being on the line and all the absurd things that happen back there. So it's not a place where you even have to be yourself. You can create a character and just have a lot of fun. And then, like a cook named Matt, you never know, maybe McDonald's will come through with that spicy chicken nugget money. It's a really good spot to get some recognition now.
That's creating the potential for multiple revenue streams.
Totally.
I think brands are going to get into that. If you have the best salmon dish, there's going to be a salmon brand that's going to pay $50,000 to be able to get their brand out there. If your restaurant is that, well, that's the difference between making it or breaking it in this slim margin industry. So we have to think around the corner. I so appreciate it. And Go check out. You got your handle up, which is perfect. Go check out. I love that you've gotten to flex your acting skills. You got.
Oh my God. Like all little girls that want to end up in restaurants, you have to get a degree in theater first, right? That's what we talked about the first time.
It is a cast of characters, and I appreciate that there is now an avenue for that. So, V, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Jensen.
All right, take care. All right, that is it for this episode, number 4 of Restaurant Marketing Week. Got to talk about these different platforms that are important. There's multiple other platforms that you need to be considering and level up on, and know what segments of your audience are interacting on what platforms, what part of your story is the most compelling within those platforms, and understand the medium itself. This is mission critical, absolutely. And we have to invest the time, money, and effort into these platforms, because this is high touch hospitality now lives digitally. We may not always like it because we are all about that face-to-face connection and in person, yet we see that there is an absolute need. And if you want butts and seats, this is how you expand your 4 walls. That is it for today's episode. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Cheers.